Hello everyone, Mick here. Today I'm looking to participate in a vinyl and beers thread, your favourite year of music. I've chosen 1970, which I think is quite a pivotal year in music. So let's run through a couple of the contenders for my top 25 albums. First we'll start off with one of the biggest selling albums of 1970, Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water. While many will tire of that theme song, don't forget there's some other classics on here, like So Long, Frank Lloyd Wright, which was certainly my introduction to The Architect. How have I dealt with my need for this album? I went for a nice clean Japanese pressing, which was particularly cheap, which was probably the selling point, but certainly a beautiful addition. Hey, Get On Up. Next one up is James Brown with Get On Up. I Feel Like Being a Sex Machine, recorded in Georgia. We got Lowdown Popcorn, Mother Popcorn, and Brother Rap. Soul Brother, number one. Time to go a little bit progressive, slightly psychedelic, with the Soft Machine, with their third. Here we have the classic lineup: Rutledge, Robert Watt, Elton Dean. Classic progressive. Soul Lady number one, Aretha Franklin, Spear in the Dark. This is, for mine, her most soulful album, and certainly a most bluesy, and certainly a deep listen. We'll keep the soul theme going with the Temptations' Psychedelic Shack, produced by Norman Whitfield. Psychedelic soul at its greatest. It doesn't get any better than this. You can see the Motown stamp there, and more importantly, the Gordy stamp. I do like my jazz a little free. So here we have Evan Parker, Derek Bailey, and Han Bannock on percussion as they run through some free jazz splutter. This is recorded in July 1970. Incus number one. End of an Ear. Robert Wyatt's solo album. Certainly an album that changed the way I thought about pop music. More Han Bannock, this time with Peter Brotzman and more free jazz. This is Balls on the always great free music production label, otherwise known as FMP. Keep the jazzes going. This is Pharoah Sanders. Deaf, Dumb and Blind. Pharoah goes free, but not too free, with Cecil McBee, Gary Bartz, Lonnie Liston Smith, who ends up being a great funk star, and Gary Bartz helping him out. Next up, Alice Coltrane. John's passed by this stage, but Alice is certainly producing some great music for Impulse. And Pharoah does get another run after his previous album. Up next, we have Star Sailor by Tim Buckley. Yes, the father of Jeff. In this one, Tim goes a little bit out, but not too out. There's timpani, flute, sax, string and electric basses. It's just a wonder wall of sound. The Yoko Ono Plastic Band. How could you go wrong? So much better than any of Lennon's efforts. Picture of young Yoko on the back. Oh, things just got really heavied up now. This is Black Sabbath with Paranoid, my favourite album of theirs. Hard to know which version to get of this one. I went for the audiophile version that came out in maybe 2016 or so. Certainly more than what I could ever handle. Best thing about this is there's a couple of extra tracks on it, so certainly enhances the additional album. 1970, we saw a bit of James Brown, but is this the beginning of rap music with The Last Poets? Lyrics on the inside. Wordy Rapping Hood, if there ever was one. Ooh, first Australian appears. David Allen with Gong. Psychedelic Weirdness, one of my all-time favourite psychedelic albums. And this one's released on the French label BYG Actual. Okay, we're getting into some German music here. This is Schweinstein. This is a triple LP of meditative exploratory tracks. Fantastic cover on the Philips label. Certainly the title, Trip, Flip Out, Meditation, reflects the music. We won't leave Germany yet. We've got UFO by Guru Guru. Certainly one of the classic krautrock albums, and I discovered this via Julian Cope. Let's keep things soulful with Curtis Mayfield, one of his, well, my favourite album of his and one of Paul Weller's all-time favourite albums, which is probably how I fully discovered it. More krautrock, Amon Düül with Yeti. This is Amon Düül 2, after the split from the initial Amon Düül. Next up, Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band. Lick My Decals Off, Baby. We do get a nice bit of Don Vallette artwork on the back there. In its Australian form, well, actually it's New Zealand form. This is Tangerine Dreams, Electronic Meditation. I do have some fancy copies with this, but this was a age-appropriate version, so I thought I'd share it. And the title is accurate. It is just Electronic Meditation. Okay, we had to get there. We're getting to the top 5 albums, so here we are. The Velvet Underground, loaded. Of course, Kale's long gone, but we do have Sweet Jane on this, which may be one of the greatest rock songs of all time, or the greatest rock song of all time. Oh, the Madcap Laughs. Prime Barrett. Floyd are now in the distance, but Gilmore and Waters are still helping out. And there's Iggy, his friend, the Eskimo, in the background. Classic outsider folk. We're getting to the top end here. And of course, Miles Davis' Bitches Brew. Certainly the beginning of out funk for me and for probably the rest of the world. When Miles runs the voodoo down on this, the artwork follows. Essential album from 1970. And finally, my number one, The Stooges' Funhouse. Does it get any better than this? Check out the band. That's everything you want a band to be. Certainly, this is unhinged. And for me, my favourite album of 1970. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed my top 25